On Saturday, the ANC will be hosting its annual January 8th statement event, which this year marks 110 years of its existence. The party's bigwigs have descended on Limpopo and have been fanning out in a build-up to the grand event in Polokwane. The governing party has been marred by much turmoil since democracy. To help us reflect on its history and leadership, I'm now joined by political analyst from the University of KwaZulu-Natal, University of Zululand, Professor Sipho Seepe, joins me now for that conversation. Prof, thank you for your time. So let's start, before we go back into the history and the significance of January 8, I guess let's start where things are at the moment. There's not much of a party to be had by the ANC, is there? I mean, you're coming from a bruising election campaign in November and always seeming to be putting out fires, at least in as far as its finances are concerned. Its Secretary General, as we speak, is someone who is not active in leadership of the party, not able to convene conferences, etc., etc. I can go on and on. Not much of a party expected on Saturday.
Yes, I think also in the words of the president of the country and also the president of the ANC, last year was a year that was catastrophic. And one of those is that not only catastrophic, but at the political level, very embarrassing. The ANC was embarrassed by the outcomes of elections. Effectively, a message was being sent to them that whatever you guys have been doing, we are not impressed. And secondly, most embarrassing is also a party that is supposed to be a party of workers, a party that is unable to pay its own members. And when you do that, you are sending a wrong message that if I can't pay the people who are comrades, who work for me, and who have a contract with me, how can I have a sustainable contract with the other people who I may not know? So that is a challenge. Then, as you rightfully indicate, it's also a party that is driven by divisions, divisions that have led to the Secretary General of the ANC being suspended. And this is the first time in the history of the organization. So this is not a happy party. It's a party that needs to begin to say, how do we begin to move away from where we were last year, and if the electorate says we're not impressed, what are the things that we must stop immediately? And the whole concept of renewal and unity seems to be
All right, Prof. Seepe, I don't know what happened there. You were in full swing making your point, and I think the connection there is sort of deteriorating. Let me see if we can give it a second or two to see if the connection is re-established. I believe that we do have Professor Seepe back and able to continue the conversation. Is this thing of yours of being in KwaZulu-Natal there, Prof, that you are battling with? With the connection, yeah, I do. Yes, I do see that it is frozen.
No, it's frozen. I'm here.
I think we have you now. So, talk to me about the extent to which this event in Polokwane will set the stage for this year for the ANC. They always talk about January 8 being, you know, the event that really is a trailblazer and points the path forward for the year. The ANC will likely, is expected at the end of this year to have its 5-yearly, conference, elective conference. And I couch it in those terms because you'd never know what may happen. There have been many conferences provincially and regionally that have been postponed almost indefinitely. So it is expected to have a conference at the end of the year. How does this event set the stage and set the tone for the rest of the year?
Well, I think the president has a responsibility to humble himself before the members of the ANC. And I think the NEC of the ANC has that responsibility. And it starts first by acknowledging that the manner in which the party has been run has left much to be desired. It must humble itself by acknowledging that the people of this country are not impressed with the organization. It must then move towards saying, with these findings that also come from the state capture, we need to combine all these experiences and build on them and then move forward. But the president has also the capability to be able to reach out without being arrogant, to simply saying, we add. And Ramaphosa is one president who has always shown willingness in saying so. So that is the first thrust that he should do. Then the second one that they need to talk about is really what the general statement is all about. It's for him to say, given our history, where are we in terms of the dreams and the ideas that the founding fathers had? Because at that time, South Africa was, black people were being pushed out of the land of their own birth. And the challenge that we face today is that those challenges have not been met. And the ANC seems to have been tiptoeing without being decisive in making sure that the political liberation translates also into an economic liberation. So that is a challenge that they must face. So the conference must create a sense of community within members of the ANC, but at the same time, it must also serve as a marching order for the cadres of the movement, but also reflect on the past successes and failures.
Away from Luthuli House, palace politics, the black, green and gold, etc., and factions and how to, outsmart one another towards the issues of leadership, you have written recently about what you've called a move and a shift from Ramaphoria to Rama-ruin, and you say that the biblically inclined prefer Ramageddon in terms of the tenure of President Cyril Ramaphosa in the affairs of the state in the last 4 years. In fact, you're saying this has been 4 wasted years under Ramaphosa. So how does then the ANC turn around its fortunes with a leader described in the terms that you have described? And more importantly, do you foresee in the wake of your assessment, and I believe the assessment of some inside the ANC and elsewhere, that he may face a challenge in terms of the leadership for the party?
Well, I think the party is where it is because of certain decisions that have been taken and certain positions and policies. And what we know is that they have not worked. If we take the issue of energy, ESCOM, we know whatever has been done is not working. If we talk about job creation, whatever plans that have been put on the table, they're not working. The fact that you have disgruntlement by ordinary people also shows that the party, there's a distance between the party and the people. So you also deal with the issue of the coronavirus. The manner in which it has been handled has left much to be desired. So the party needs to say, in all these things that we promised, we actually had failed. And this assessment does not only come from the party members, it also comes from institutions. And if you read the Afro Barometer, it does indicate that even at the level of corruption, we don't see the party making headway. Even when we talk about issues of transparency and openness, which are words that the president likes, but the people are saying, but when we look at issues that have to do with you, Mr. President, we see you rushing to the court and making sure that those are sealed. So that doesn't seem to augur well for somebody who says, let us deal, let us be open. And recently, there was also a leaked recording that suggested that members of the ANC were using state resources during the political campaigns. And the president knows that. And he was actually almost suggesting that. If you say so, the president is also obligated as a public official and somebody with authority to make sure that those are reported. So when you talk about corruption, there must be an element of consistency. So there must be this must be a period of humbling, but also of acknowledging. But if you make mistakes and you fail, and you do not accept that, then it will be very difficult for people to say this person has had. So as the president himself has said, and the ANC says after elections, the people have spoken. So it is important for them to say, today we start by listening to the people.